Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Night Shaders Podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, welcome to another fun episode. Likewise, too, if you're listening to this on either Spotify or Anchor. Anchor. Sorry, I'm still new to this podcast thing. But as you guys don't know, every 2 weeks I get a new visionary, pamphlet or articles. And in those articles, I then learn what is going on in the world from the visionary or the monastery for ULC. And last episode of this, I had the echo effect. I hopefully fixed that. So, without further ado, the new articles over the last 2 weeks are, I'm just going to read them out top, and then we'll go into them. First is The Last Temptation. A Spanish bishop and a renowned exorcist abruptly submit their resignations from the Catholic Church last month after falling in love with the writer of a satanic-themed erotica. That's interesting. Jesus, Is That You? A virtual billboard compared former President Trump to Jesus as Jesus has prompted outrage from many Christians. Critics say it's blasphemous to compare any politician to Christ. Kind of agree. Out of the kitchen and into the ring. A campus preacher was attacked by a female student after he showed up with a sign saying that women belong in the kitchen and not the classroom. The incident was caught on camera, sparking renewed debate about free speech and the consequences of offending people. Fishing for controversy. 1,500 dolphins were killed in a traditional sea hunt in the Faroe Islands. Infuriating activists who say that the hunts are wildly unethical. What happens when moral and tradition collide? Rain of Fire. Scientists have discovered an explanation on the biblical story of Sodom and Gomorrah, as new evidence shows a dramatic cosmic event may have caused their destruction. And our last story, and something is actually kind of cool to hear. A Swedish priest is declaring that he is no longer performing weddings for straight people. The decision is apparently in retaliation to a new church of Swedish policy that some worry could give priests the power to refuse to marry gay couples. What is your reaction? And the thing about this is, I want to say man, I might be wrong. The picture is of him. I'm going to use that pronoun because no one said anything. He's wearing a nice pink shirt, a nice necklace, some fur. I want to say a fur like parka. He's got nice hair done. He's got on eyeshadow and lipstick. So I don't discriminate against anybody, but that's actually kind of cool that we're finally having someone stand up for the LGBTQ. Because when I told people that I was going to be doing this as becoming a ordained minister and I actually do marry people, they were all up in arms because they go, well, what are you, a Christian, a Lutheran? And when I said yes, because the Life Church is that. It is the Church of Life, and I can do any religion as long as I get enough time to perform the ceremony. But everyone's like, oh, and it goes against the Bible, and it goes against this, and it goes against this to marry gay people. God made them. I don't care. As long as they do all their stuff behind closed doors, they're just like me and you. And it also shouldn't be up to the government or any religious zealot what you do. There are people who are devout Christians who drink worse than any alcoholic, which is against their religion. You have some Muslim people who eat pork. You have different people from different religions always going against that religion because the human condition shows that we can actually go in to a store, find something that we like that is against our religion, not know it's against our religion, and keep eating it. I doubt God will care what you eat and who you fuck. I seriously doubt that. Because God has bigger things on his plate. Will he be miffed? but that's between them and their God. Not up to you because it has no condition for you. Has nothing to do with you. So, yeah. So, let's start with the first article, which is coming in now. And by the way, this actually got sent to me. When did this get sent to me? I want to say 20. Yeah, this got sent to me 3 days ago. So, that for me would be September 29th. So, yeah. So, let's go into how it happened, where we learn about the romance novel. Come on, show me it. And by the way, if you wish to get ordained, just type in ULC and follow the prompts. You can get the all the certification that you want, and you can even get yourself a small business card you can carry in your back pocket. All right. Now, the article's name is Satan's Charm. Catholic bishop resigns after falling for author of satanic erotica. You heard of a match made in heaven, but what about a match made in hell? That's what some might call a relationship between a now former Catholic bishop and a fiction writer who specializes in satanic-themed erotica. Xavier Navelle was on his way to the ranks within the Catholic Church, becoming Saint's youngest bishop at age 41 in 2010. Despite his somewhat controversial conservative views, even for the Catholic Church, Navelle has been an enthusiastic advocate of conversation therapy of gay people, suggesting that homosexuality is linked to lack of father figures, and has called abortion the most serious and terrible genocide in humanity. Not in my opinion. He was also the church's go-to exorcist and Catalina religion in the Catholic religion. I can't pronounce that word. Even though his views are controversial and he's relatively young, he was viewed as a man with an accent. On the ascent, and reportedly met with Pope Francis a handful of times already. But apparently none of this compared to the allure of a life filled with satanic erotica. The former bishop was essentially thrown his career out the window and to take up with author Silvia Caballoni. And there's actually something here on Twitter with the Times. Okay. Next part of the article. Love at first sight. Navelle's resignation last month, which followed many meetings with fellow bishops, as well as a reported meeting with the Pope himself, came as a surprise initially. Navelle, now 52, claimed that he was quitting for personal reasons, following a period of reflection, discernment, and prayer. A new report gives more insight into just what Bishop Navelle was reflecting on: Satanism. Navelle met with his partner at a demonology workshop in 2015. She was presumably there researching one of her novels. The 38-year-old Caballoni is a prolific writer specializing in satanic-themed erotica. Her most popular is the 2017's The Hell of Gabriel's Lust, a book about a journey into sadism, madness, and lust, and a struggle between good and evil, God and Satan, with a plot to shake one's values and religious beliefs. One might declare it as a Catholic 50 Shades of Grey, a short expert. As if possessed by the demon of lust, I began to suck and kiss her neck, her lips, her tatas, and her shoulders. Our bodies were insatiated and excited, and our sex was inflamed and palpitating. Bishop Navelle presumably found both her prose and her personality irresistible. The couple is now reportedly living together in Catalina. Alright, next part of it. Get thee to an exorcist. For Bishop Navelle, his resignation was an attempt to do the right thing. I have fallen in love with a woman for the first time in my life, and I want to do things right, he's quoted as saying. But his sudden resignation wasn't taken well by some of his colleagues. Ironically, a former exorcist's former employers believed he was in need of an exorcism. Reports indicate that Pope Francis himself asked Novell at least twice to get an exorcism, believing him not to be in love or even lost, but possessed by Satan himself. Novell's other colleagues have repeated that sentiment. The issue is not the problem of celibacy, but of infatuation. He's in love. He's obsessed. One of his fellow faith leaders started. Whether Novella is simply in love or actually possessed by Satan is a theoretical question, but we're not equipped to answer. But one thing's for sure: young bishop's promising career as a Catholic church in the Catholic Church is now dead in the water. The incident also marks a fascinating new chapter in the age-old battle between the Catholic Church and the power of Satan. Safe to say Satan won this round? End of article. Now, I'm coming down and I'm seeing other stories, and one just caught my eye that I think is kind of funny. And we'll get back to this. I just saw this, and it says, Mormon youth discovers steamy celibacy loophole. So now they found a way how they can screw around. But here's the thing. Whether it's love or whatever, this bishop finally, for the first time in his life, and for some of the people who don't know what it is, bishops, priests, and that stuff are, unless you go into it already started with a family, they don't or even if you're married when you go into it, or I don't know how it goes, but mostly a lot of them are single. Most of them are single, have no kids. If you're like a nun, the female equivalent to, like, say, a bishop or something, they're normally nuns and they don't have sex. They don't do anything. So it's kind of weird, and they have said, yeah, this is not right because now he's leaving the church. So, yeah. I don't know, but I hope that his heart's in the right place. He's not just going to be... Yeah. Hopefully things go great for him, because it's good to hear that even at 52, you can find love. You can't control who God makes you fall in love with, and that's a key thing here. Something that they forget, that Jesus and God both preached about love. And that's the main thing to remember about all the messages, that they just want people to love each other as they love themselves, and how they had loved Jesus. So there is that. Alright, on to the next article. The Jesus, are you there? Is that you? So, I have said multiple times on my YouTube channel, and now I'm going to say it on here, I am not a large Trump fan. I gave him a year and a half when he became president, and he did not help me much. He did not help me very much. I'll admit my taxes went down a little bit, but not enough to really notice. Other than that, things before COVID, he did not help with that. He called former military people losers. He did so many bad things, and he didn't even act like a professional, and that's why I don't like him. Now, here's the beginning of the article. Second coming. Billboard comparing Trump to Jesus sparks backlash. A former president, Donald Trump, the second coming of Christ, that's what a now removed billboard in Georgia would lead you to believe. The billboard featured an image of the former president alongside a piece of scripture. The scripture goes, "Unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders." Joined hairs, Romans 8:17, with a picture of Trump. I don't agree with that. The billboard quickly garnered backlash from individuals across the political and religious spectrum. The reaction was so strong, in fact, that the message was promptly taken down. Does Jesus live in Trump Tower? Nice article title. Unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. Read the billboard next to the image of the beaming Trump, It is attributed to the Romans 8:17. Many critics were quick to point out that Romans 8:17 says nothing of the sort. That particular line of scripture is from Isaiah 9:16, which reads, "For us a child is born, and to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." The backlash online was swift. Very much an Antichrist vibe, wrote a YouTube user. Is that what the book Graffitians pondered another? Many Christians have chimed in. Some supporters of Donald Trump, who nevertheless objected to the sarcastic and blasphemous comparisons between Donald Trump and their Lord and Savior. The billboard company Reagan Outdoor Advertising confirmed that they've removed the billboard over the weekend following the overwhelming negative response. With the billboard generating plenty of controversial online, it's worth noting that it's not the only time a president has been positively compared to Christ. In fact, there's another president who received many Christy comparisons himself. Oh God, come on. Obama as Christ. Former President Barack Obama enlisted similar comparisons during his time in office. First of all, give an honor to God and our Lord and Savior Barack Obama, said actor Jamie Foxx famously quipped back in 2012, prompting outrage from Christian groups at the time. And in the very same year, painting by Michael D'Antonio showed President Obama wearing a crown of thorns and posing as if he were on the cross, got the New York-based artist some 4,000 email complaints, mostly for the irate Christian right who misinterpreted the art as blasphemy, he stated. And it's a picture of Barack Obama with the presidential seal behind him with the crown of thorns holding the curtains ready to close them. And he looks like he's on the cross. Alright. Shortly after Obama's election, actress Susan Standard favorably compared Obama's community organization past to the work Jesus did. Those Obama as Christian comparisons were roundly criticized as false and blasphemous comparisons by faith groups. While one could argue that such comparisons represented a sincere belief that Messiah's figures are walking the earth with us, a cynic might suggest that it's a quick and easy way to get attention. Meanwhile, students of history caution that elevating a politician to the level of spiritual messiah has rarely ended well for all involved. And that's kind of true, because in the book, in the Bible or whatever you read, there should be a clear line, and politicians do this all the time, and it gets under my skin. Heck, they even used Jesus' name at the storming of the Capitol building last year. But the thing about it that makes me really upset about this, you shouldn't have Jesus in a courtroom. You shouldn't have Jesus talking about government, because Jesus didn't do that. Jesus would try to make people's lives better. He wouldn't be going up to leaders saying, "Hey, Phil, we got to get these taxes down," and people saying, "Well, what would Jesus do?" During during Trump's time, there was actually a moment, and it was on TV. It was recorded. A Republican was speaking, and a priest showed up, and he quoted Jesus, saying that he came to him, he loved him, did all these things, and when the priest was escorted away, the Republican came back to the mic and said, "Now after that lovely attack," it's like, he was quoting Jesus. He wasn't quoting anything that was wrong. Jesus is a man of love, and last time I checked, Jesus never did anything to harm anyone. So this is kind of messed up. But yeah, no, I agree with a few people. You should not say like, oh, Trump was the next Jesus, or you shouldn't be saying like Obama was the next Jesus. There was one Jesus. There is only one Jesus. Each religion gets one Messiah. That's it. It's not go around and, oh, I want this, I want that. Oh, this person's awesome. Oh, this guy just got me a new Hyundai. Just don't do it. Alright, now we're going to learn about the teacher who had that sign. Okay, campus preacher assaulted over women belong in the kitchen sign. Now, there's a picture of the guy holding this sign. It says it's on a yellow card with red lettering. It says, young women, you don't need college. You need faith, a Bible, and a good cookbook. Okay, a controversial campus preacher ended up on the wrong side of a physical altercation on the University of Alabama in Birmingham, UAB, after a female student confronted him over a sign implying that the woman's place is in the kitchen, not in the classroom. Daniel Ruck, preacher at WALK About Jesus Ministries, was allegedly assaulted by a female student while holding a sign that reads, young women, you don't need college, you need faith, a Bible, and a good cookbook. The student promptly took offense to the message and attacked him. The incident, which occurred on September 14th, was caught on video. And if you guys go to Old Row Jack State, capital OLD, capital ROW, capital JAX, capital STATE, you can actually see the altercation and the woman beating him down. And continuing on. And while most can agree that violence is wrong, on-campus opinions are split on just where the line is between freedom of speech and religious anger. Next part, them's fighting words. The student claims she was provoked by the preacher before the incident took place. So far, it is unclear if the student will face any charges. But Rusk was escorted off the UAB campus and spent roughly 7 hours in the Birmingham City Jail. And according to Rusk, he was charged with disorderly conduct, and he claims police are considering charging him with assault and inciting a riot. He obviously believes himself to be a victim here, but not everyone agrees. Numerous students say he was expressing wildly inciting views in a provocative manner, practically begging for a reaction. When he posted about this incident on Facebook, some of our friends were arguing that visiting a college campus full of women and shouting in their faces that they belong in the kitchen is, so to borrow a phrase, asking for it. In case you've missed the post, you can check it out here. Don't worry, it's exactly what I just been telling you guys. For its part, the school says that if promptly permitted, Rusk and his wife are free to impose their controversial views on campus, distasteful and offensive as they are, spreading God's love and hate. So who are the Rusks? Apparently Daniel Rusk and his wife Mary have a habit of traveling to college campuses with their homemade signs and posing opinions on a range of controversial issues. Their beliefs include that women should not pursue education, should dress modestly, and should stay at home to rear children, clean the house, and cook food for their husbands. To be perfectly frank, Rusk said, I'm offended by the way women dress. As a person that grew up in a lot of flagrant perversity and filthy styles of things that people allow, it seems to just get worse and worse. I think it's offensive. I find it offensive personally. and know that other men feel the same way too. Society agrees with me 50 years ago. That's the bottom line. One of the more provocative signs reads, "Stop the sexual assault," with the words "shorty shorts" crossed out underneath, implying that a woman's choice of dress is to blame for her own sexual assault. That's bullshit. But it doesn't end there. They also made apparent that pro-LGBT events and abortion providers to preaching against gay marriage and abortion. During Pride Month, a shirt was available on their website that with the words, "Jesus never was a homo-hugging hippie. Obey the real Jesus or burned in hell." It's a touchy subject, so we tend to try and keep some humor, Rusk says. Well, at least they're keeping things nice and light. Okay, 4 things on this article. 1, fuck this dude and his wife. If they want to go around doing this stuff, perfect. The Constitution says, hey, even the college said, you can practice what you preach. You have freedom of assembly. You have the right to talk to people, but you get what you get. Like, if I go out to the street tomorrow and start screaming racial slurs in a very dense part of my town, and people hear that, I have the right to say it. But then they have the right to come beat me the fuck up. Rule 2, saying the stuff that, like, Jesus wasn't a hippie hugger, he didn't care. He didn't care. Homosexuality has been around for decades. Hell, some guys over in Rome were fucking each other before Jesus even came on the planet. They were good. They were doing it after Jesus came around and died, because they didn't know any better. It's a real world thing that happens. And this guy going around with his wife trying to, and this is where rule 3 is, if he was trying to get people excited, like, hey, do you agree with me? Do you do that? If he's trying to pull people in, that's where he's fucking up. Because he shouldn't be doing that. That is not what he is supposed to be doing. He wants to protest. He wants to get a sign up. That's one thing. But once you try to actually go like, buddy, come here, let me talk to you. When you do that and try to stop people, that's where you get into trouble. Now, the whole thing that also, and the last thing that really ticks me off, that it's what a woman wears that gets them sexually assaulted, that's a him and haw. Because men were visual creatures. But that doesn't give you the right to put your hands on a woman. So if a woman comes up to you in shorty shorts, tank top so tight and so short that you can see everything, and she's saying no, that's kind of like, okay, and why are you dressing like that, trying to get attention? That's what that is. But saying that that is what causes the sexual assault is unfair. Because a woman can dress however she wants, a man can dress whatever he wants. It's not fair if you say, oh no, they gotta wear this, they gotta wear Mosley. Guys don't. Heck, we can walk down the street in a Speedo and rollerblades and a fishnet shirt. No one even looks twice. They'll think you're weird, but other than that, they don't even look at you. But, God, this guy saying it's offensive. Well, here's an idea. Don't freaking look. You see him, look away. Not hard. It's not like they're forcing you to look at him. It's kind of like the whole gay pride thing. It's like, I get it. You don't accept it. Don't be a part of it. Just ignore them. They ignore you. It's very easy. Alright, we got 3 more stories. I know this isn't exactly the funnest. Alright. Outrage as 1,400 dolphins killed in traditional hunt on Faroe Islands. I'm just calling it Fro. Just because a tradition has history and deep cultural meaning, does that mean it's okay? That's the question some are asking after 1,400 dolphins were killed in the Faroe Islands. The traditional sea hunt was denounced by numerous marine conservation groups as needlessly brutal, as a superpod of 1,428 Atlantic white-sided dolphins was corralled onto the beach by local fishermen by speedboats, and where they perished. Ooh. Locals, however, are defending their ways, arguing that the tradition is both justified and humane. But historical tradition bumps up against modern ethics. Which should win? Here we go. Beaches turned red. The traditional sea hunt took place in the Faroe Islands in the North Atlantic archipelago and autonomous territory of the Kingdom of Denmark. The hunt, called a Grinderok in Faroese, has been practiced for centuries, but in recent years the Faroese government has begun strictly regulating the tradition as they increasingly face backlash both internationally and in some cases locally. The hunt usually involves pilot whales, not dolphins. According to the local biologists, that was the largest number of dolphins killed in one of these hunts on record, beating the previous record of 1,200 in 1940. The dolphins were first driven to the largest fjord in the island chain by local fishermen when herded onto Skeletorner Beach in Etsatori. As they breached the shore, locals began killing them with knives, turning the whole beach red with blood. Conservation groups are outraged, brutal and badly mishandled, and conservationist groups, Sea Shepherd, estimated that Sunday's event may possibly be the largest single hunt of cetaceans ever recorded worldwide. Considering the times we are in, with a global pandemic and the world coming to a halt, it's absolutely appalling to see an attack on nature on the scale in the Faroe Islands, stated Sea Shepherd CEO Captain Alex Cornelissen. If we have learned anything from this pandemic, is that we have to live in harmony with nature instead of wiping it out. Feeding the masses. Local defend the custom, explaining that it's not a blood sport. The Faroe Islands government spokesperson compared it to hunting, claiming that nothing will go to waste. The meat from each drive provides a large amount of valuable food, which is distributed free in the local communities where the whale drives take place, he said. The meat of the 1,400 dolphins caught on Sunday has likewise been distributed among the participants in the catch and local community. And one fisherman said that the only reason there's an outrage over the hunt is because it took place out in the open. We do the killing in a very humane way, using veterinarian-certified tools. The problem in the Faroe Islands is that we have a public slaughterhouse, so everyone can see what is going on. Many have echoed the sentiment, suggesting that anyone who is outraged over the hunt and who also eats factory-processed meat, not generally known for human consumption or humane conditions, is acting hypocritically. Tradition and ethics collide. The ordeal has many wondering where we should draw the line when the ancient traditions conflict with modern ethics. For Faroe Islanders, the annual sea hunt is highly anticipated. The continuing of a centuries-old tradition that generations of local fishermen have participated in. The male-dominated event has deep roots in the local culture and is clearly meaningful to those who take part. And yet there is no disputing that modern inventions like motorbikes and mechanical rigging have made the event far more efficient and deadlier than it was in the past. What do you think? Do historical traditions have a place in the modern world, or are we better off letting traditions die? Now, to this, there is a bit of a yes and no. Should we allow people to continue a tradition that they have been doing for years and years? Yes, but we have to remember at the same time, we are in a different time. So, say, like here where I live in Wisconsin, we hunt turkey, we hunt deer, but you're not going to see a bunch. And the tradition is you hunt the deer, you get the meat, you put the meat in the freezer, you use that during the winter instead of buying hamburger, and it helps so you can use the extra money for gas money. But at the same time, you don't see a bunch of hunters scaring up a huge herd of deer, waiting by a tree line just to start gunning all of them down just to feed one town. You don't see that. Because compared to when I was a kid, when we did have cars, motorcycles, and all that, and to when my grandfather was out there, yeah, he had the same stuff, but it was nowhere near the same. You have guys out there, and I actually saw this once, hunting with AR-15s. I know a guy who actually hunts with one. Or you have semi-auto rifles. Unlike back in his day, semi-auto rifles were mainly made for the military, while we had regular weapons, single action, like bolt action, for hunters and that. So I can see where people are coming from, because ethically, this is kind of messed up because they're driving this huge amount in, but at the same time, traditionally, they've done this for a long time. And the best way I can say is the tradition of hunting the dodo bird actually made them go extinct. So we might actually want to begin kind of backing off on some traditions that cause us to hunt and kill a lot of animals. Especially with, in the news right now, apparently over in California, 20 or so bird species, mainly woodpeckers, have all passed away. They are now extinct. And the only way to see them now is in museums, because scientists can't find them anywhere in the world. So, and I'm just speaking as, okay, it's, yeah. Alright. Next is about Sodom and Gomorrah. What happened to the city of Sodom? Scientists may have finally solved the mystery. Sodom and Gomorrah Fire by Jacob D. Well, 2nd, 1680. Imagine going on your day 3,600 years ago. Maybe you visit a local shop, visit your family. It's quiet, sleepy afternoon, no different from any other day. Well, except in one way. Unbeknownst to you, a massive rock is hurling towards you at 38,000 miles per hour, explodes 2.5 miles above your head, and instantly incinerates you, your city, and everyone you know in a heat blast 1,000 times stronger than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Not the best day. Using new archaeologists called data. Scientists say that's exactly what happened to the Middle Eastern city of Tal el-Hammana thousands of years ago. And what's more, they say that the real-life devastation may have been the inspiration for the biblical story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Science does it again. The answers to exactly what happened to Tel el-Hammana were some 15 years in the making. Hundreds of people from 3 different countries spent a decade and a half excavating the site and testing sediment to determine what happened. Now they believe they've solved the mystery. A massive firestorm, courtesy of a gigantic comet that hurled through space at tremendous speeds and exploded overhead. The rock from the blast was enough to blind someone looking towards the city, metal beginning to melt, while wood and people caught fire instantly. Their area went uninhabited for hundreds of years, likely because the soil was contaminated from the event. leaving the earth completely barren for crops. While it's likely that there are no survivors within the city, scientists say it's possible individuals from neighboring settlements may have witnessed the event and lived to tell the tale, passing the story down from centuries until it was written in the Bible as a story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Rain of fire. Of course, if the Bible is to be believed, your average day in the ancient city of Sodom was likely anything but sleepy. Within the Bible, the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were smote by God for their wickedness, and described by Luke 17:28. The day Lot left Sodom, fire and sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. Biblical scholars have long debated what sort of wickedness the inhabitants of Sodom were up to that offended God so badly. Some traditional interpretations hold that Sodomites were engaged in rampant homosexual acts, and many Christians cite the story as part of the basis for the opposition of homosexuality. However, other scholars believe it was the sin of pride that caused their downfall. While the debate was likely raged for a long time, it seems eventually possible that the inspiration for the particular Bible story came directly from an unexpected destruction of Tal Elam Hamam, passed down from generation to generation. I can't read, I know it's Arabic. Or something like that, so oh, there's one last part. What do you think? Was this just an unfortunate cosmic event? Or could it have been the power of God at work? Personally, because I believe God has more important things to do than smite wicked people like this and be like, you can't say that. I personally do not believe that he would do this. But on the other side, this would explain things. I mean, if you guys go over to Jerusalem and all that stuff, you can actually see areas where Jesus was born. And scientists have been trying to prove, and have proved some of the ways how the effects or the things that happen in the Bible actually happen. Like, they found out that the burning bush was probably a gas leak or something that would actually go up into the bush, burn bright, and then go back down, and without even hurting the bush. Or that, what's another going? Oh yeah, the tenants of God. That apparently they found them, but they were destroyed by Romans. So, all right, and we got one last article. The one about the priest who will only marry gay people. Which, in my opinion, good on you, bud. Come on. Oh, this is not even a... Oh, this is not even an article. This is on their Facebook. Wow, this is actually a big thing. Okay, a Swedish priest has declared that he will no longer be performing weddings for straight couples. I've made the decision to refuse marrying straight couples. Lars Garfield, a priest in the Church of Sweden, announced matter-of-factly. Gerdfield, who is gay, explained that his discussion is a reaction to the new church policy allowing individual priests to deny marriage service to specific couples if they think there's a problem with the union. For example, if a couple appears to be under... under the influence of drugs or alcohol, a priest can decline to perform the wedding. However, the policy is vaguely written and apparently gives priests the power to refuse to marry gay couples as well. When the same thing has to apply to me as a homosexual priest, said Garfield, then I have the right to turn down straight couples. What is your reaction? I agree. That's the last article, but I agree with that wholeheartedly. if they want to say, oh no, you can't get married because you're a gay man and you're a gay guy, but we're normal because it's a man and a woman, that is completely besides the point. You have two people who love each other. They follow the Bible or whatever religion they believe in. They're trying to get married. If God has a problem with it, he'll sort it out when they go up. And he'll probably send them down or wherever he's going to send them. But you as a priest do not have that right to say yay or nay, because that is between them and God and them and Jesus. So that's a little bit of a two-sided thing. I like the idea of that policy if someone is, say, drunk or being held against their will, or they're completely coked out of their mind. Yeah, no, don't do that because they're not in that right mind. But, yeah, so it just it's kind of showing you what the world is nowadays. People used to say, oh, religion, love thy brother, love thy brother, love thy brother. Yet the moment someone tries to love thy brother, it's, oh, God, what are you doing? Why are his legs like that? It's stupid. So, hey, if you guys like this, anyone on Spotify and on Anchor, if you like this episode, because I'm about to wrap it up, don't forget to actually go on to the YouTube channel, Nightshader, that's capital N-I-G-H-T, space capital S-H-A-D-E-R. Look for the black silhouette. We have multiple, different kinds of videos up there. We have 7 Days to Die, Minecraft, Assassin's Creed, Dying Light, which we are just about to end. We also have Elder Scrolls, Skyrim. We also have Max Payne 2 and Far Cry 4, working our way up to, of course, Far Cry 6. Currently we're on 4, which means we still have to go through Primal, New Dawn, and 5. So we have a little bit of ways to go, but of course, this took us a little bit to even get to Far Cry 6. So who knows, it might be fun. Also, we're about to probably be getting into Dying Light 2 after we get into Dying Light 1 and do the Bozark everything. This is for the people on YouTube. Also, keep an eye out for, we have a new series coming up. We are going to be starting the Mafia trilogy. I'm pre-recording, and they will be going up as soon as possible. And hopefully you guys will enjoy them. A few of them have the echo on them, so please forgive. So, without further ado, thank you guys for listening. Spotify, thank you guys for tuning in. Tune in 2 weeks to hear the next version of The Visionary. And don't be afraid to drop me a comment on YouTube if you guys want to come back and give me your opinions. Or give me your opinions down below. Thank you. Remember, have fun playing in the dark, and I will see you guys in the next one. Night.
AudioMicro.com